Hello guys and welcome back to a New Girls Frontline 2 video. Lewis is back on a rerun banner, and if you skipped her the first time, the big question now is simple. Is she still worth pulling in the current meta? Since I already made a full guide on her release, this is going to be a quick but complete breakdown of where she stands today, her best teams, and whether your pulls are actually worth it. So just to briefly recap what Lewis does, she's essentially a sustained DPS unit, built around stacking and maintaining pressure over multiple turns, rather than bursting instantly. Her kit revolves around applying consistent damage through follow-ups and stacking effects, which ramp up her output the longer fights go. She's not a front-loaded nuker. She's a scaling damage dealer. What makes her strong is how reliably she can keep her damage uptime high, especially in longer PvE content where enemies don't just fall over in one turn. Now let's talk about the important part. Where does Lewis actually stand right now? In the current meta, Lewis is generally considered a solid but not top-tier DPS. She usually sits around that A-tier range depending on the tier list. The main reason she's not higher is because the game has shifted more toward burst damage and fast clears, especially in endgame content and score-based modes. That's where Lewis struggles a bit, since her damage needs time to ramp. Compared to newer DPS units that can delete enemies immediately, she can feel a bit slower. That said, she's still very consistent, very safe, and performs well in longer fights, bosses, and sustained encounters. Lewis really shines when paired with teammates that help her extend fights safely and amplify her sustained damage. Some of her best partners include Kai, who provides strong debuffs and damage amplification that help Lewis scale harder over time. Chungju, who offers great utility and overall team stability. Suomi, one of the best defensive supports in the game with shields and survivability. And Cheetah, who helps with buffs and consistency. The general idea is simple. You build a team that keeps Lewis alive and lets her keep attacking, because that's where her value really comes from. So, should you actually pull Lewis on her rerun? For newer players, she's still a decent pickup, especially if you're lacking a reliable DPS. She's easy to use and doesn't require super complex setups. But for veteran players, this is where it gets tricky. If you already have stronger, more meta DPS units, Lewis is probably not a priority pull anymore. She's good but not game-changing in today's meta. So, overall, she's worth it if you need a consistent DPS, but skippable if you're aiming for top-tier or more future-proof units. As for her signature weapon, it definitely improves her performance, especially by boosting her consistency and overall damage output. However, it doesn't suddenly push her into top-tier territory. Because of that, it ends up being more of a luxury pull rather than a must-have. If you're on a budget, you can safely skip it. So yeah, Lewis is still a solid unit, but in today's meta, she's more of a comfortable, consistent pick rather than a must-pull. If you like her playstyle or need a dependable DPS, she'll still do the job. Otherwise, it might be smarter to save for upcoming units. Let me know if you're pulling for her or skipping this banner, and I'll catch you in the next one.